Hello, Sri Gurubhyo Namaha, Sri Paramagurubhyo Namaha, Srimad Ananda Tirtha Bhagavat Padacharya Gurubhyo Namaha, Sri Raghavendra Tirtha Gurubhyo Namaha. I am pleased to deliver this lecture in the series of Bhagavad Gita Theory and Practice of Management, a contemporary explanation, a contemporary profile. We have seen that the main message of Bhagavad Gita is to ask every one of us, through the pretext of Arjuna, that we should perform our prescribed functions in the Nivritta Karmanusthana framework. And we have seen, even at the cost of repetition, I would like to say that there are 4 components in the Nivritta Karmanusthana framework. One is performing the prescribed functions. Not performing the prescribed function does not fall under the Nivritta Karmanusthana. It comes under the Pravritta Karmanusthana. And second is to perform it without excessive obsession about rewards. Again, I repeat that rewards could be there, goals could be there, but excessive obsession about them should not be there. If excessive obsession is there, then our commitment to duties becomes very much slowed. Commitment becomes very much narrowed. I gave the example of a student who is committed to get good marks, but if he is always conscious of that reward, he would find several dubious ways of achieving it, by getting the papers leaked, by bribing the examiners, by doing all sorts of unwanted things to achieve his objective. In the same way, an officer wanting to have promotion could adopt various dubious methods of realizing his objective. And we don't want the dubious methods to come in the performance of the duties. Therefore, we must not be obsessed about the rewards. Third is to do it with the robust objective of serving the icon of perfection, namely Paramatma. Having the robust objective of serving the nation, serving the corporate sector, serving the mankind, serving the society, all these could be all right. That means it does not have any personal agenda while performing the duties. You must have very, very noble and generous objective of performance. And fourth is not to have vanity, ego, that I am doing it all alone. It should not bring ego in us that we have performed. We should always have the feeling that we did it. I did it with the support, grace of the elders. I did it with the support and the grace of the gurus. I did it with the support of the entire system. That feeling should be there. We did it. As I mentioned, in Japan, they always say we did it. And all the white collared and the blue collared, all of them are wearing similar uniforms, and there is no distinction made between them. That is called as a Japanese industrial culture. But anyway, this fourfold categorization of the characteristics of Nivritta Karmanusthana is the ultimate message of Bhagavad Gita, and each one is further analyzed as to how we should get those aptitudes. How should I get the aptitude of being not obsessed by the rewards? That is done by prescribing the control over the sense organs, control over the mind, control over the buddhi, manipulating the buddhi in the proper way. If I do all these things, then I would have been able to perform my duties without obsession about rewards. Being Sthita Prajna. And Dhyana Yoga is supposed to be the Antaranga Sadhana for realizing this aptitude of performing our duties without any obsession about rewards. And third is about doing it as a service, as a aradhana of Bhagavan. Why Bhagavan? Bhagavan is the Sarvottama. And so many chapters are devoted to the presentation that Bhagavan is Sarvottama. Kshetra, Kshetrajna Yoga, Vibhuti Yoga. I mentioned how Paramatma is Sarvottama. In place of Paramatma, we can keep an icon of perfection, icon of most efficient situation of life, and try to realize that perfection level. As I said, my lecture has got Bhagavan in it. If I am able to do it very well with all the good attributes assigned in it, then I would have realized the Paramatma that exists in my lecture. Vibhuti Yoga is meant for searching for the excellence. In every category of objects, there is one object which is supposed to be excellent, which is endowed with the highest, most proficient, most rewardable, most commendable qualities. So that is the perfection, icon of perfection. And so if we are able to get at that icon of perfection, we would have achieved Paramatma. That becomes Bhagavad Aradhana Buddhi. And fourth is not having the vanity that I did it myself. Anyway, these are the characteristics which have been repeated several times, but at the beginning of every lecture, they deserve to be remembered. Now we are finding that man can behave in response to certain impulses, certain factors of life in a particular way. Man is given Datta Swatantra. He is given the freedom to behave. How is his behavior determined? That Paramatma is telling in the 14th Adhyaya by categorizing each one as Sattvika, Rajasa and Tamasa. Sattvika, Rajasa, Tamasa. Param bhuyah pravakshami jnananam jnanamuttamam yajñātvā munayas sarve param siddhimito gataha idam jnanamupasritya mama sadharmyamagataha sargepi nopajayante pralayena vyathanti cha mama yonihi mahad brahma tasmin garbham dadhamyaham sambhavas sarvabhutanam tato bhavati bharata सर्वयोनिषु कौन्तेय मूर्तयः सम्भवन्त्याः तासां ब्रह्म महद्योनिः अहं बीजप्रदः पिता सत्वं रजस्तम इति गुणाः प्रकृतिसम्भवाः निबध्नन्ति महाबाहो देहे देहिनमव्ययम्. All the beings are born from Chaturmukha Brahma in his anda. And there is in Manimanjari stated Sasajja Bhagavana Adau Trin Gunan Prakriti Paraha Mahattattvam Tato Vishnu Srishtavan Brahmanastanam. In the creation of various aspects of life, he created the three gunas first. Mahattattva, and then Mahattattva, Ahankara Tattva, Avyakta Tattva, all these tattvas which are responsible for the creation of the other objects. But basically he created these three gunas. Sasajja Bhagavanādau Trin Gunan Prakriti Paraha. Prakriti, Chit Prakriti and Achit Prakriti. Chit Prakriti, Abhimani Devata for both is Goddess Ramadevi. And from Achit Prakriti, all the entire world is created. From the Achit Prakriti, first of all, the Sattva-guna, Rajo-guna, Tamo-guna are created. That's why here he says, Sattvam rajastama iti gunah prakriti sambhavaha nibadhnanti mahabaho dehe dehinam avivayam. Prakriti sambhavaha trigunatmaka jada prakrititaha sambhavantaha तदंशभूताः सत्वं रजस्तम इति गुणाः तथा प्रकृतिसम्भवाः चित्प्रकृतितः सृष्टिकाले विभज्यमानाः सद्गुणत्व सृष्ट्यादिरञ्जनकर्तृत्व जीवग्लपनहेतुत्व निमित्तैः क्रमात् सत्वरजस्तमशब्दिताः श्रीभूदुर्गाख्याः गुणाः. Rayara Tippani gives also the Abhimani Devatas for all these. We will not go into them, but we will take the creation of the three gunas, and it is a very powerful sloka. Sattvam rajastama iti gunaha prakriti sambhavaha nibadhnanti mahabaho dehe dehinam avayam. We know that the entire jiva is kept in the deha, panchabhutatmaka deha, and in panchabhutatmaka deha these three gunas determine the nature of the behavior. They bind you in different forms. Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakashakamanayam sukasangena badhnati jnanasangena chanakha. And then if we recognize these three gunas, these three attributes, these three characteristics, we want to know how they manifest. And when do we say that sattva guna is predominant and rajoguna is predominant, tamoguna is predominant? And how should we avoid the adverse effects of the particular gunas, particularly rajoguna and tamoguna? These are all the various questions in the human behavior analysis. And I am told that such fundamental analysis of the human behavior in terms of the attributes is not done even in the modern psychology. Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakashakamanayam. When sattva-guna becomes predominant, when sattva-guna is manifest, it is obvious that it becomes illuminator. It brings in a certain kind of glow, illumination in the mind. And sukasangena badhnati jnanasangena chanagha. He anagha, and only because anagha is there, he is eligible to receive this knowledge. Agharahita. And sukasangena badhnati jnanasangena chanagha, because it is nirmala, it is not having any doshas, it is connected with the sukha. And here sukha is the Vishaya sukha. If Vishayas, the Indriyas approach the Vishayas and the right kind of sukha is sought, not the Vishaya sukhas which are disturbing to you. But ultimately, of course, all Vishaya sukhas are bad. And but for living life, you need to have Vishaya sukhas. Sukasangena badhnati, and also it keeps the avenue for knowledge. Jnanasangena chanakha. It also gives you an opening opening for jnana. Jnanasangena chanakha. Rajo ragatmakam vidhi trishna sanga samudbhavam tannibadhnati kaunteya karma sangena dehinam. Then when do we know that rajoguna has become predominant? Ragatmakam vidhi. Rajo ragatmakam. Raga means a desire, a particular srishtyaadi ranjana swarupam, bhutatvam. Ragatmakam. Tadvidam. Trishna sanga samudbhavam. Trishna is Nama idam me bhuyaditi asha sangaha vastushu asaktihi. Trishna means it should happen to me, an ambition, always having a certain ambition, not even just goal, certain desire to achieve. Trishna sanga samudbhavam. Then sanga is attachment, it is mine. Just as Krishna Paramatma has given the sequence of happenings when the Indriyas come in contact with the Vishayas. He has already said, Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha. Very systematic, very scientific, very natural, very logical theories are given in Bhagavad Gita on human behavior. ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः संगस्तेषोपजायते संगात् संजायते कामः कामात् क्रोधोऽभिजायते क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. This is how contact of the sense organs with the objects ruins us by having the sequence of constant rumination of the object, constant meditating upon it, and developing a desire for it. And if that desire is not fulfilled, having anger, krodhat bhavati sammoha, and then losing proper understanding, knowledge, and then afterwards losing all memories, and then the buddhinashat pranasyati. Therefore, the Rajoguna is the cause for all these factors. Earlier also it has been stated, Kama esha krodha esha Rajoguna samudbhavaha mahashano mahapapma vidhyayina mihavairinam. Sattva does not generate the raga, trishna, kama, krodha, etc. But kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsara are the corollaries generated by the Rajoguna. Tan nibadhnati kaunteya karma sangena dehinam. Once you have the desire and you have the attachment, you have an urge to do more and more. I give the example of people rushing to their jobs, not now during the corona times, rushing to their jobs and coming back home every day through suburban trains. And if we stand near the underground suburban pass by, you will realize people coming, going, and they just don't know what they are doing. So every day this endless, purposeless going and coming is done for earning some money and keeping the family in happiness, and in that process losing one's own peace of mind and happiness also. And so this kind of karma sanga, the attachment with work, that is what is happening in the world today. Work, and then consumption, excessive consumption, excessive consumerism is the root cause for the miseries in the world. The collapse of the environmental system, global warming, and endless pursuit of production of consumption with craze more and more, advertisements, and all this sequence of things that happen to ruin the peace of mind. There is no scope for sitting at one place and meditating. If we say that you should meditate for half an hour in the morning, the Bombay people or suburban or urban people would say that where is the time? I don't have. They do Sandhya Vandana once in a week, on Sundays only if possible. No, most people nowadays are engaged in doing Sandhya Vandana, meditation, dhyana, and that is why they don't have the peace. And if they don't have the peace, they rush to temples, they rush to Swamijis, they rush to all Babas, and to get peace from outside. But peace can be generated only from within, by daily performing Gayatri Japa, daily performing Dhyana, daily performing Anulom Viloma, Kapalabhati, Bhamri, all such pranayamas at least 108 times a day. And if you do that, then you will have some peace of mind. Otherwise, you will be engaged in karma sangena dehinam nibadhnati, then nibadhnati, nitaram badhnati. See the beauty of the words used. Sukha sangena badhnati. There, when Sattva is there, he says that it binds you with the attachment, with the contact of the sukha. But here he says nibadhnati, nitram badhnati. Karma sanga binds you much more. There also Sukhasanga is also a bandhaka. That is why later on it is prescribed that we must be free from all the three gunas. We must be Trigunati Tattva. Some very interesting concept. Why should we give up Sattvika guna when it does good things of giving some happiness and some jnana, opportunity of jnana? But the argument is that this jnana and sukha is concerned with vishayas. Sukha sangena badhnati. Sangha and vishaya sukha. And jnana yajna, jnana sangha is only paroksha jnana, understanding that Paramatma exists. But until this jnana, through the sequence of meditation, dhyana, and Atma Sanyama Yoga, and Samadhi, it leads to aparoksha jnana, then only it becomes useful for getting moksha, getting the complete realization of complete bliss. And that is possible only when you are freed from even Sattva guna. Sattva guna is also badhanati. Sukha sangena badhanati. Jnana sangena. Jnana sangha here is paroksha jnana. It only has got the feeling, the trust, the faith that Paramatma exists. But to have him in front of you whenever you need, having the aparoksha jnana, you need to have the various stages which are described by Raghavendra Swamigalu in one sloka, while commenting in one sloka. That is, you must have the Nishchitartha jnana, that Paramatma exists, and then you must start doing the karma in the Nivritta Karmanusthana framework, and then you must start doing dhyana sadhana, that is Antaranga sadhana, dhyana yoga, and then you must lead this to asamprajnata samadhi. And when asamprajnata samadhi comes, then the aparoksha jnana comes. Aparoksha jnana comes, Bhagavad prasada comes, and then when Bhagavad prasada comes, when he desires enam mochayami, then you become eligible for getting moksha, complete bliss. But even in our everyday life, when once you have the realization of the perfection or the symbol of highest efficiency, you have a certain bliss and certain peace of mind, certain composure of life. That is why you must give up this kama, krodha, lobha, moha tendencies. For doing that, you must be free from rajoguna. Then tamoguna. Tamastvaඥānajam vidhi mohanam sarvadehinam pramadalasya nibhadrabhihi tan nibadhnati bharata. Once again, he addresses Arjuna as Bharata. Whenever a profound theory, profound knowledge has to be conveyed, he addresses him as Bharata. You are belonging to the noble clan of Bharatavamsha. You must know these elements of knowledge. As we said, Arjuna has graduated from very simple questions and simple answers to higher levels, very highest level of philosophy and deeper knowledge about the principles of life. And so, ajnanajam vidhi mohanam sarvadehinam. Tamoguna leads to, it creates ajnana, and then the tamasva ajnanajam vidhi, brought from ajnana, and then it always keeps you in pramada. Pramado anavadhanata. That means doing something very rashing way, doing something without much thinking. Pramada. Alasya, nidra, tan nibadhnati. Once again he says here nibadhnati. For Rajoguna also he says nibadhnati. Whereas for Sattvaguna he said badhnati. It can be easily eliminated. Nibadhnati, here nibadhnati. Nitram badhnati. Pramada, alasya, nidra, all these are creators of further perversion in attitude, in behavior, and these are caused by tamoguna. Sattvam sukhe sanjayati rajah karmani bharata jnanamavritya tu tamahan pramade sanjayatyuta. Sattvam sukhe sanjayati. Sattva guna is converted into Sukha. Rajoguna in always series of actions, karmani. Then Jnanam avrutyatu tamaha pramade sanjayatyuta. Tamoguna covers up your knowledge, even the paroksha jnana, samanya jnana. It takes away your knowledge about the greatness of Paramatma, and then it indulges you in pramada. Pramada means doing things in a very wrong way, in a rash way, without any proper ultimate analysis of what happens. Rajas tamascha abhibhuya sattvam bhavati bharata. Rajas sattvam tamascha iva tamas sattvam rajas tatha. Then the question comes, if all the three gunas are in us, when does one guna become predominant? When do we say that we are having the sattvika guna predominant and rajas? So he says, when sattva guna becomes predominant by suppressing the rajoguna and tamoguna, and when rajoguna becomes predominant by suppressing sattva-guna and tamoguna, and tamoguna becomes predominant by suppressing sattva-guna and rajoguna, then we say that particular guna is predominant and manifests itself in a very explicit manner. So the man becomes sattvika when sattva-guna becomes predominant. That's why many times we behave in a very normal way, in a very illuminating way, and we should think that sattva-guna is predominant. When we are doing rush work and without any patience, without any allowance for meditation, scope for thinking, for rumination, then we should think that rajoguna is predominant. And whenever we are doing all perverted things, all wrong things, very rash things, very always getting anger, is tamoguna is predominant. Sarvadvareshu. So that is why Krishna Paramatma gives the symptoms of the various gunas to know which guna is predominant at a particular point of time. So he says, Sarvadvareshu dehesmin prakasha upajayate jnanam yada tata vidyat vivruddham sattvamityuta. He first gives what are the characteristics of the three gunas, and then says, how should we know which guna is predominant? That he mentions by pointing out that when all the avayavas, manas, indriyas, buddhi, everywhere there is a feeling of illumination, there is a feeling of flash of good knowledge, good behavior. We feel that. We many times, today I have been working in a very cogent, very hearty and affectionate manner, and throughout I am not getting angry. So then we must say sattva-guna is predominant. Jnanam yada tada vidyat vivruddham sattvamityuta. At that time we should, when knowledge also increases, I make effort to read something or attend to some discourses or listen to some discourses, then we should think that my sattva-guna has become predominant. Since each guna is everywhere in us, our attitude towards the gunas, our attitudes in life determine which guna becomes predominant. Lobha pravrittihi arambhaha karmanam ashamaspраha rajashitani jayante vivruddhe bharatarshava. Everywhere he is addressing him as Bharatarshava. You are such a noble soul, noble clan you are coming. You must understand these basic principles of human behavior. Lobha pravrittihi. Lobha dhanadehe atyagecha lobha. Lobha means craze for more and more money. You don't want to give up the money at all. Pravrittihi. Pravritti, Rayaro gives the definition as Vyarthodyogaha. As I said, the example of people rushing in the suburban trains, coming out, going in and going to the office, returning in the evening. There is this, if you take it in a broad perspective, it is a rush for work. And what purpose does it serve? What peace of mind does it give? What ultimate benefit it gives? No, we must do and do it, go and do it, do and do it. Like that. Pravritti, that's called as Vyarthodyogaha. Arambhaha. Arambhaha, Rayaro again gives the definition. Kamya karmanam arambhaha. You always begin a work in which you have an ulterior motive. Earlier also it was stated that one who does not do his arambha with kama, then he becomes the pandita. Karmanam anarambha, the one who does not begin his work with any particular kama in it, and he does it as a service to God, that person is yasya sarve samarambhaha kama sankalpa varjitaha jnanagni dagdha karmanam tamahu panditam buddhaha. Krishna gives the definition of a pandita. Even at his time, the definition of pandita was required. All the people who consider as jnanis, who have studied the great Shastra Granthas, I will not name them, and done these Mangalas several times, and those who recite the Vedas. Earlier also Krishna Paramatma has said, Vedavada ratah partha, nanyadasti trivadanaha, kamatmanaha swargaparaha. They are also not very reliable. Those who only recite the Vedas, those who begin their work with a certain kama in it, yasya sarve samarambhaha kama sankalpa varjitaha, then jnanagni dagdha karmanam. He has made the karmas, the karmalepas get burnt out of the knowledge that Paramatma is the greatest, and all the deeds should be done as a service to Paramatma. If he does that, then he would be he will be making the karmalepas to move away from him. Then tamaho panditam buddhaha, such a person should be called as pandita. And similarly here, when the lobha, pravritti, arambha, ashamaha, chittasya anuparatihi, when there is no peace of mind, and aprapta bhilashaha spriha, when rajoguna becomes predominant, all these manifestations take place. One is lobha, that is no desire to give up money, no desire to do dana, no desire to give up possession of money. And then pravritti, vyarthodyogaha, we are engaged from as we get up from bed until we go to bed, we are engaged in futile, fruitless activities. Kame karmanam arambha, then always trying to make a beginning for karmas which serve some ulterior motive for us, and then not having any peace of mind, chittasya anuparatihi. Then spriha means aprapta bhilashaha, always trying to have the craze for getting more than what you have not possessed. When these have grown, we should think that rajoguna has become predominant. And we observe that in our everyday life, we are having rajoguna quite often manifest itself. And obviously, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsara also become manifest. And then you become bound by the karma lepas. When we say that karma bandha, I have already explained, karma bandha does not mean karma does not bind you. Karma binds you with the attitudinal transformations in you. It generates the kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsara. These 6 corollaries, I don't know how somebody has enumerated them. He is genius indeed, and he should be given 100 Nobel Prizes, I should say. But kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsara cover all the negative corollaries of performance. I have explained that several times, but kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsara, particularly kama and krodha are our enemies. And when these become predominant, then we should say that Rajoguna has become predominant. Aprakasho apravrittischa pramado moha evacha tamasyeta nijayante vivruddhe kurunandana. When tamoguna becomes predominant, what are the characteristics? What are the manifestations? Aprakashaha, then kshetradishu shabdadi jnanabhavaha, and apravrittihi anudyamaha, pramadaha anavadhanam, mohaha viparyaha, etani tamasi vivruddhi jayanti. It's obvious that when tamoguna becomes predominant, you start behaving in a perverted manner, your knowledge becomes camouflaged, and what you consider as good, you consider as bad, and what you consider as knowledge, you consider as not knowledge. You do not engage in active activities. You always think that sleeping or becoming idle is the most important modality of happiness, and do things in a rash way. And mohaha viparyaha, having a perverted feeling on everything, is moha. So Arjuna had moha. मोहनिमित्तकात् शोकात् यन्मनोदौर्बल्यं यस्मिन् सति सर्वव्यापारोपरमः भवति सः विषादः. For moha, for depression of Arjuna, the root cause was moha, and moha is viparya. What was the viparya in the case of Arjuna? In the case of Arjuna, the most basic or prominent viparya was not remembering about his duty as Kshatriya, forgetting about his duties as a Kshatriya. He thought of everything else, did analysis of every other aspect of the happenings, but did not recall himself that it is his duty as Kshatriya to request to destroy the enemies and protect the dharma. So yada satve pravruddhetu pralayam nyati dehabhrita. Tada uttamavidam lokan amalan pratipadyate. Aprakasho apravrittischa pramado moha evacha tamasyetani jayante vivruddhe kurunandana. And yada satve pravruddh. Now also Krishna Paramatma gives very interesting analysis of what happens when a particular guna becomes predominant at the time of your death. When you become sattve pravruddhetu, when sattva guna is predominant at the time of the departure of the jiva from the body, then what happens? If rajoguna is predominant, what happens? And tamoguna is predominant, what happens? He particularly tells about the next birth. Yada sattve pravruddhetu pralayam yati dehabhrata tada uttamavidam lokan amalan pratipadyate. If sattva-guna is predominant at the time of his death, on the eve of his jiva's departure from the body, then he would reach in the next birth, he would be entering into some lokan, that is dehan. He would enter into bodies which are shuddha. Amalan lokan, uttamavidam lokan, vishnudhyaninam. That means in the next birth he will be born in a family which is giving importance to knowledge, which is giving importance to yoga, which is giving importance to sadhana marga, and where he is not having any problem in continuing his sadhana. And rajasi pralayam gatva karma sangeshu jayate tata pralayinastamasi mudhayo nishu jamat jayate. When the rajoguna becomes predominant, if the attitudes of lobha, pravritti, arambha, karmana, ashamaha, spraha, when rajoguna become predominant, these characteristics become predominant, and if these are at the time of the death, many times when the jiva leaves the body, we want to know what kind of mental framework he was in. Did he desire of something which he had left unfinished? And then that is why in Pinda Pradhana, at that time Kakapinda, and all these are meant to find out whether he has any left desires. You should not go with the desires, because you would bother the people behind, and therefore Rajati pralayam gatva karma sangishu jayate. If he is having the lobha, pravritti, arambha, all these things at the time of death, if he was thinking of a property, he was thinking of a court settlement of a property, or if he was, we know how Bharata chose to become Jadabharata. In the Muni was thinking of that dear child at the time of death, so he was born in the birth of deer only. And then when he moved along with the rishis by eating their naivedyas, yajnaseshas and so on, he earned punya, and the next birth he was born again as a human being, and this time he said, I will not get into any attachment or any moha, and therefore he became Jadabharata, and he would sit if somebody asks him to sit, and stand when somebody asked him to stand. And the story goes there as how Jadabharata was totally detached. He is given as the example. And when one Raja, Rahugana Maharaja, is going, they wanted a man to carry the palanquins, and Jadabharata is brought there, and he is jumping. He is not wanting to create harm to the ants or small insects on the ground. And Rahugana Maharaja, out of vanity, he says, who is this person who is jumping? And then all the other three carriers of the palanquin say, this new person. And then that he starts rebuking Jadabharata. And this is the story in Bhagavatam. And Jadabharata keeps on arguing that then he keeps the palanquin down. He is not afraid of the king. Then he tells, who are you? What do you think of yourselves? He gives the entire philosophy of Paramatma, philosophy of life, and Rahugana Maharaja becomes his Shishya and falls prostrate at his feet. That is how the story goes. And so what we think at the time of death carries forward for us. Rajasi pralayam gatva karma sangisho. If Rajoguna becomes predominant, he would be born in the category of karma sangishu, those who are again engaged in doing karma. He may be born in a rich industrialist's house, but there he is again engaged in performing only futile activities. Karmana pralinaha tamasi mudhayo nishujayate. One who is born when tamoguna becomes predominant at the time of death, he would be born in mudhayo nishu, in Daityakula, in the clan of the not having any knowledge, any reasoning, any rationale, always performing in a very perverted way. He would be born in that. Or he may be born as a krimi yoni, not useful for any action. Pralinas tamasi mudhayo nishu jayate. Karmana sukritasyahuhu satvikam nirmalam phalam rajasastu phalam dukkham ajnanam tamasah phalam satvat sanjayate jnanam rajaso lobha evacha pramada moha tamaso bhavato ajnanam evacha urdhvam gachanti satvasthaha madhye tishthanti rajasaha jaganna gunavartisthaha adho gachanti tamasaha नान्य गुणेभ्यः कर्तारं यदा द्रष्टानुपश्यति जगन्य गुणवृत्तिस्थाः अधो गच्छन्ति तामसाः. Those who are having sattva predominant throughout their life, they go to the lokas above us, and those who are having rajoguna predominant always, and they would go in the Manusha Yoni only. They would be born in the Swarga and Naraka, Swarga Bhuloka, Swargadau Tishtanti, Jaganna Gunavarthistaha. Those who are having Tamoguna predominant throughout their behavior of life, they become Tanishtaha, Jaganna Gunavarthistaha, Tadvritti Tatparinama Tanishtaha Tadvanta Adho Nirayam Gachanti. They go to Narakaloka. That is why these three gunas are important, and we must understand as to how they manifest themselves and how we should manipulate the different gunas. And of course, Sattva guna is predominant and should be the guide and a torchbearer for good end, but Rajoguna, Tamoguna are to be avoided, and even Sattva-guna becomes a binder because it gives us only the Vishaya Sukha and Paroksha Jnana, not Aparoksha Jnana. Therefore, you must avoid even Sattva-guna. And later on, he says, Gunani etan atityatrin देही देह समुद्भवान जन्म मृत्यु जरा दुःखैः विमुक्तो अमृतम अश्नुते. Amritam Ashnute. Amritam is Paramatmanam, Parabrahma. When he has to go to Parabrahma to get the final blissful state, or in our everyday life, he has to improve the level of blissfulness, he must reach towards Brahma, the icon of perfection in every activity. That he can do only when he is able to free himself from the influences of three gunas. And later on he says that we can avoid the three gunas by becoming sthita prajna, by being equanimous in situations of labha and alabha, in situations of various other categories. And once he is able to समदुःख सुख स्वस्थः समलोष्ठास्मकाञ्चनः तुल्यप्रिया प्रियो धीरः तुल्यनिन्दात्म संस्तुतिः मानापमानयोस्तुल्यः तुल्यो मित्रारिपक्षयोः सर्वारंभ परित्यागी गुणातीतः स उच्यते. Arjuna asks the question, you said the influence of all the three gunas, how Sattva guna also becomes a binder, how Rajoguna and Tamoguna are giving us the binding influences, all that, but you prescribed us to become the Gunatita. Then how should I become Gunatita? Kairlingai strin gunan atitoham atito bhavate prabho kimacharah katham chaitan trin gunan nathivartate. What are the characteristics of a person who is Gunatita, and what I should do to become Gunatita? We will consider all these, and then categorization of various other aspects of life like Shraddha, Tapassu, Dana, and Ahara, Tapas, all these things in different Sattva-guna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna, and they help us in molding our life in a manner which ultimately gives us optimum human welfare. We will consider that in the next lecture. We will stop here. Yatra Yogeshwarah Krishno, Yatra Partho Dhanurdharaha, Tatra Sri Vijayo Bhutihi, Dhruvani Tirmatir Mama, Sri Krishna Arpanamastu.